And we are back, and it is time for the ElseViews. This is the portion of the show where I talk about Avengers Infinity War because I saw Avengers Infinity War, which is why we bumped things back.
But we are going to express once again, it is going to be a spoiler-free review at this point in time, out of respect of the wishes of the directors of the
Russos, of the Russo brothers. Yeah. So, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers 3, as it was known to be, because it's the third Avengers movie, is the
if you don't count Civil War.
Well, Civil War was Captain America.
Sure, it was.
It had Captain America before it had Civil War. But anyways, this is the... So we talked in the news about the whole Eternals thing and how, we're finishing out Phase 4. Part of me feels like this should have been the end of Phase 4. Like, boom,
you
done.
mean the end of Phase 3?
Or Phase 3, yeah, sorry, Phase 3. Boom, done here now, and now on to Phase 4. Now, saying that for people who have seen the movie or will see the movie, they're gonna go, Greg, what the fuck? How are you gonna end like this? I mean, and it's one of those, because they did the different bumper, because they turned for Marvel Studios, they turned the IO into a 10 because they've been around for 10 years, yay, and stuff like that. Which, I mean, yay, they've been around for 10 years and stuff. Creating hits. I don't think they've really had. I think the first two Thor movies were their closest they've had to bombs.
I don't know if they were necessarily bombs, but our expectations kept getting higher and higher. Yeah. And so you go back to things like the first Thor, or the Incredible Hulk movie that was Universal but under Marvel Studios as association with it. They don't perform at the same level, but the first Iron Man doesn't perform at the same level as Iron Man 3. And they've gone up. The expectations have gone higher. I don't know where Ant-Man landed or Doctor Strange landed, but I'm sure that they didn't perform at the level of Civil War or Guardians of the Galaxy.
But with that, I mean, I don't know, but it's not like to keep it in the Disney family. We haven't had the Cars 2, bombs, that we've had with the Pixar movies.
Right.
But so this is also the third. So this is completing a couple of trilogies here, because this is also the third Russo brothers directed movie. With them doing Winter Soldier, Civil War, and now Infinity War. This is also the movie of 1,000 fucking actors. Not fucking actors like it's a porno, but so many goddamn actors.
You were about to get my $10 a lot faster.
So one of the things
that questionable popcorn on the floor.
We don't sell caramel corn. Why is this sticky? So one of the things I will say, there's less shaky cam in WWE. I mean, for a lot of these action scenes, they go super shaky, and it's just like, now, granted, I was the jackass who sat in the front, front center at the movie, like I'm going to see Hamilton, on Broadway.
Youth.
Well, I don't want to, have to squeeze by people and, and have people right beside me. So I'm just like, there's 2 whole rows empty up front. I'm going to sit up front, and I just did this. I just like sort of laid back and, had my head on the back of the thing. It ended up backfiring where I had a kid, which is why I didn't end up going, shut the fuck up. But I thought about it a couple times very loudly in my head, because every time you see, now, not spoilers, because we already know these people are in here, but you see Spider-Man, he was like, Spider-Man. I'm like, oh my God, shut up. We know it's Spider-Man. We heard his voice, or, oh, look, it's Thor. Or what is it? I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, come on. Seriously, do we need running dialogue? This is not Mystery Science Theater 3000. Because if you're going to do it, make a joke. But overall, the movie is really good. They are setting up it. So I'll phrase it to you this way. I know it's not, but if the 4th Avengers movie was called Infinity War Part 2, I would totally understand. Because with how the movie ends. You're like, oh, okay, that's like the kid behind me goes, what? And I'm like, oh my God, shut, dude, come on, just watch the movie, absorb it, then react, not just the. Oh no, there was other moments where everyone reacted. I'm like, okay, that's one thing. It's like when you get one person going, it's like, but so overall, watching this movie, I kept thinking, I want the Blu-ray, I want the 4K, so I can get the behind the scenes stuff to see, because hopefully they have stuff on how they filmed some of these things. Um, because
Unfortunately, the entire director's commentary is going to be that kid from behind you.
yeah. Oh no, because I did some like things like as it ends, because it ends the same way Lego Batman ends with fade to black. Spoilers, I ruined the whole movie. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But no, seriously, that's how it ends. It's just black and then credits. And he goes, what? That's it. And I'm like, they're doing the next Avengers movie comes out next year, right? And he's like, I'm like, yeah, you only got 2 movies. And his dad goes, yeah, you just gotta wait for Ant-Man and the Wasp and then Captain Marvel and all that. But no, I'm serious because so this might be the closest I get to a spoiler, but Peter Dinklage is in the movie, playing a dwarf. That's all I'm going to say on that regards.
Poor guy never gets to play against type.
Well, but there's a lot of scaling stuff, like with Josh Brolin's as Thanos, and some of the scenes where he's interacting with, these other actors, where he's either the same size or not towering above. Like I believe Thanos is like 9 feet tall and stuff. And there's scenes where I'm like, well, is that practical or is that digital? And all that. And
maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah, maybe it is Maybelline. But it's one of those, like, from watching this is like, okay, I'm definitely gonna get, probably gonna get the 4K Blu-ray, unless Target offers a really awesome special edition that's not just 40 pages of work. But no, yeah, actually, that was the great part, was when Andy Serkis came in. Haha, fake spoiler. That's honestly what I'm going to tell my coworker, because he's going to come up to me and go, so how was it? And it's be like, oh, it was great when Ulysses Claw came in and just killed everyone.
So this is a movie that has 10 years of other movies behind it. Yep. And multiple films that have hit their trilogy mark. Yep. Your Cap, your Thor, your Iron Man. Mm-hmm. And this is what is considered if it was a trilogy, which it was kind of implied that it was just the last film was going to be broken up in 2 parts. This would be the final part of the Avengers trilogy, but it's not quite that. So expectations are phenomenally high. Mm-hmm. And that can be both great to get people excited to go see the movie. The estimation I saw was that this thing was going to make $500 million in the opening weekend. But that can also lead to huge disappointment.
Yeah.
If it doesn't live up to those expectations. And when it's a film that obviously leads into yet another film, how easy is that to actually do to meet those expectations? And are people going to be inevitably disappointed by what's not there, and or things that do happen that they don't agree with or don't want to see yet?
Yeah. So here's I love these comments that Beat is hitting on here. Mickey Rourke's cameo was mesmerizing.
Yes, I mean, to Mickey Rourke it was.
Yeah. So this is one of the things I'm going to say. Out of all, so this movie actually did a couple things for me. I so desperately want a standalone Hulk movie. I know it's probably never going to happen because it is so twisted up in licensing hell with Universal. But from watching this, I want a Mark Ruffalo standalone Hulk movie. The other thing I'm going to do is, where this is probably the one movie, now asterisk until the next Avengers movie comes out, that you need to have seen a lot of the Avengers or a lot of the other Marvel movies of the past 10 years There are a few you don't really need to see. You don't have to have seen Black Panther, for example, in order to follow this plot. Thor Ragnarok, on the other hand, you do, because where Thor Ragnarok ends, that's where this begins. It's almost like done, sort of deal. But Black Panther, there's enough in here with to where if you had not seen Black Panther, you would be like, who are these people? But then it's quickly explained. It's quickly.
You think they did that because they didn't know that Black Panther was going to be the biggest goddamn movie of the year so far?
No, they did it because they did it with a lot of the other people.
Yeah, I feel like when I read comics, something that I've always stood by is that you should treat every issue like it's somebody's first issue, even if you're in the middle of an existing storyline. So you don't want to spend too much time on it to bore the readers who've been there for the last 10 years, but you do want to make some caveats for if this is your first time seeing Jimmy Olsen, let's give you an idea of Jimmy Olsen. If this is your first time seeing Aurora Monroe as Storm, let's let you know what the X-Men are and who Storm is.
Yeah.
But
but the beautiful part with this is if you go with the Marvel chronology here, they have ways of bringing in this stuff into the movie, and you could probably think of who they are right now. Who missed out on the last Avengers movie out of Civil War?
When you made the quote signs,
yeah, who was not in Civil War,
right?
Yeah, they use Hulk, they use Bruce Banner to catch a lot of people up on, like for the people who hadn't seen, maybe they didn't watch any of the Thor movies, or they didn't watch any of the Iron Man movies, or they didn't watch the Captain America movies, or whatever it is. They then, go, okay, they use Hulk for a bit of it.
I do wonder who is coming into this movie dry, though.
That's tough. If you're coming into this dry, like, this is not the movie to come into dry.
Like my wife had said, she's like, do you want me to go see the new Avengers movie with you, because she knows that I'm excited about it? And I said, no, that's fine, I don't mind going to see it by myself. She's like, you've only made me watch a couple of the movies, and you've only had me watch the ones that you think I would like, and I've liked them. Everything that I've seen with you I've enjoyed, but I don't try to overexpose her to it. I know that the stuff isn't her thing. She's like,
so what has she seen?
Well, I took her to see Guardians of the Galaxy. In particular, we went and saw that. I've played other stuff with her in the room, but I haven't asked her to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't mind sitting down and watching Doctor Strange with her, just because I think since it's so tonally what it appears, and it seems visually interesting, and it's not so tied in everything else in its own movie until the end. You get the little hints of stuff here and there. I feel like that could work well. But we saw both Guardians movies together. After I'd seen the first one, I made her go watch it. I went a second time, and then the second one came out, and we went and saw that together. Ant-Man, I think she would probably enjoy. We had started to watch it one night, and it was just too late for her. But I feel like I could get away with that one as well. She would probably enjoy the Iron Man movies, and she would probably really like Thor Ragnarok. But I wonder how much she would get out of Thor Ragnarok without watching the other Thors. And I feel like if I made her watch the other Thors, she would have a problem with
want to watch Thor Ragnarok then.
Yeah.
I feel okay. So with that, I feel like, and then I'm going to answer Beat's question here. Beat's big question here. Thor Ragnarok, I would feel comfortable enough with, because again, with how they explain it in the beginning, to say, just have her go into Thor Ragnarok.
Maybe
the first one, and then tell her the cliff notes of Dark World.
Well, baby, in Thor Dark World, what happened is it was mostly a Blizzard cutscene for any time the villain was on the screen, and there was a fun cameo with Captain America. Yeah. Other than that, we don't. Kat Dennings, just being Kat Dennings again.
Yeah. Like, so I'm going to answer Beat's big question. I feel like we need to make that a segment title thing. he asks, was there enough exposure for each character in that lineup? 400 heroes in it. It's so a lot of the characters there. It's almost every hero in the movies that we have seen, and it is also a lot of their supporting characters. But so, for example, because this is very early in the movie, where we meet, we see Spider-Man, and well, I should say, we see Peter Parker on the bus, and he sees, danger, and he has to get off the bus. So he smacks Genki, who's not Genki, Ned.
But it's Genki.
Yeah, it's Genki, but his name's Ned. And he smacks Ned and goes, "Hey, cause a distraction for me. I got to get out of here," and all that. And then cleverly, he goes, because
he shits in his palm and throws it at people.
No, actually, he goes, "We're all gonna die," because he sees what Peter's trying to get him to cover for him for. So everyone, which then leads brilliantly into the Stan Lee cameo. It's in the beginning of the movie, so it's not really spoilers, but that's as far as I'm gonna get. Same thing with with Pepper Potts. It's these supporting characters for the people. They're in there, and then it's and then it's done. You don't see any more of them because you don't need any more of them.
They're flavor enhancers.
Yes, yeah, exactly. They are the salt to this steak. And bad choice of words for this steak or the salt. But I mean, yeah, exactly. They're the flavor enhancers. They're the salt to this popcorn. That's a better one. And
by the way, my favorite Marvel character, obviously, monosodium glutamate. Man, it's
oh yeah. So the other thing
content.
The other thing I will say is only one cutscene, and it's at the very end. So you sit through all the credits. There's not really any fancy motion credit things like there have been recently. The other thing I found interesting, and you can sort of tell who's not in the movies if you look at the lineup for what's coming up before the next movie. Sorry, oops, I might have said too much, but no, yeah, basically I'm gonna say Ant-Man's not in the movie. You don't see him, you don't see Captain Marvel, because
I feel that Ant-Man is in all the Marvel movies, and not seeing him as part of the process.
Yeah, he's mentioned, but that's about it.
I still go back to what I first said when they announced the Ant-Man movie was coming out. I'm like, they should do a trailer like they did for Lilo and Stitch, where they showed Stitch in all the other Disney films, causing some sort of havoc. They should here's Hawkeye's arrow shooting it at one of the Chitauri, and there's Ant-Man on it. What the fuck? He should have been the character that was established ahead of everybody else, and they just backstoried him in.
Yeah. Sorry,
but they can do that with Michael Douglas.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something else too, but I'm like, oh hey, duh. But yeah, and then the other part is, so how in the movies they've been doing the thanks to, and they've credited some of the creators, some of the creatives that have been working on the comic. They didn't do that here, where I can definitely see a lot of Jonathan Hickman's run with the Avengers. I can pick out, different this is from here and from here and from here with some of the stories, but I didn't see a thank you to, anyone in there in the credits. So that part, but it could have been something that I missed. But then I'm like, wait, really? That's a little bit weird in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I love the movie. The movie is great. I mean, I highly recommend going and seeing it. And actually, honestly, I was excited for that end credit scene. And Corey, when you see the movie, you will know exactly why.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's GNCASTS.com.